Hello everyone, welcome to Adda 24/7. My name is Sandeep and here we are connected again in the day 12 session of FSSAI Recruitment 2021. Okay, so welcome back to the English session. I mean English session of the FSSAI Recruitment. Okay, not exactly English language session. So today we are going to discuss about the role of state food authorities. Okay, so as we know that we have two kinds of authorities here, the central authority and the state food authority. Okay, so talking about the state food authority, we have adjudicating officer. We have the state food safety commissioner, then we have the designated officer, adjudicating officer, CFSO and food analyst. I mean just food safety officer and food analyst. Okay, so we are going to look into all of these. Let's start the session. So first of all, let's talk about who are the people who are involved in this state food authority here. The people involved here are Commissioner of Food Safety, designated officer, food safety officer, adjudicating officer and food analyst. First of all, let's talk about the state food safety commissioner. Okay, so Commissioner of Food Safety of the state, or simply the state food safety commissioner. Okay, so what are the functions that needs to be done, or what are the functions of the food safety officer here, commissioner of the food safety of the state? Okay, first one is prohibit any article in the interest of the public health. For example, if there are certain articles that can be allowed in a under the FSS Act, but the food safety commissioner has that power that he or she can prohibit that particular article because of the harm or because of the damage that is going to cause to a certain entity. Okay, for example, there is a product X, there is a food article X, and the people of the area Y, okay, the people of area Y are receiving any kind of harm, or the product X is harming the community of Y in some kind. Okay, so then the food safety commissioner can prohibit this particular article, that's article for sale in the area Y. Okay, then carry out survey of the industrial units engaged in the manufacture or processing of food in the state. So for example, there are certain industrial units, there might be some processing units, there might be some manufacturing units. So what needs to be done is that the state food safety commissioner can carry out some survey. Okay, next, conduct or organize training programs. Okay, so what is this? Conduct or organize training programs. Now talking about this training programs, conducting them, organizing them. Okay, so for whom this training program is conducted? For the people in the present inside the organization as well as the people present outside the organization. Now talking about people present outside the organization, who are these people? These are the food business operators or anyone who wants to get involved in the food business. And for talking about the people who are present inside the organization, these are the different the new employees, okay, who have been recruited and they need some kind of training. Then ensure an efficient and uniform implementation of the standards and other requirements. As we had discussed earlier, that standards are set for different food articles. These standards need to be implemented by the state authority. So the state authority has the responsibility of implementing these standards, and who needs to ensure that these are being implemented? The Commissioner of the Food Safety. Next, the Commissioner of Food Safety may delegate such of his powers and functions under this act, okay, except to appoint designated officer. Now what exactly is delegate? You must have heard that delegate of so and so organization or delegate of a particular person. That means, for example, if you are present at a certain position or rank in an organization, you can delegate, you can transfer, or you can allow someone to perform certain functions that only you can do. Okay, so in that case, the Commissioner of Food Safety can delegate some of his powers, but he or she cannot delegate the power to appoint designated officer, food safety officer and food analyst. Okay, next. Now talking about the designated officer, as we just studied that the Commissioner of Food Safety can appoint designated officer. Okay, so what are his or her functions? The Commissioner of Food Safety by order appoints the designated officer who is not below the rank of sub-divisional officer, or simply as we say SDO, okay, sub-divisional officer, to be in charge of food safety administration in such area as may be specified by the regulations. Okay, next, there has to be a designated officer for each district of a state. Okay, so for each district there should be a designated officer. Chief Executive Officer of the Food Authority appoints central designated officer. Okay, now the state designated officer is appointed by the State Food Safety Commissioner, but in case of central designated officer, the designated officer is appointed by the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. A central designated officer is part of the central licensing authority, whereas the state designated officer is a part of the state licensing authority. They can approve licenses as well as cancel the license. Okay, next. What are the other functions of the designated officer? Now the functions or the designated officer has been mentioned in the section 36 of the FSS Act. Prohibit sale of any article of food in contravention with the provisions of the Act. If any kind of food is not complying to the standards, is not compliant to the FSS Act, then the designated officer can prohibit the sale. Receive report and samples of articles from food safety officer under his jurisdiction. Okay, so the food safety officer can directly report about different articles or different provisions that haven't been complied in their particular jurisdiction. Next, recommend cases to commissioner for sanction to launch prosecution. Okay, so for launching different prosecutions, what exactly is prosecution? You see, whenever a convict or a criminal is brought for trial into the court, okay, so that exactly is known as the prosecution. Okay, the workings that is being done there. Recommend cases to commissioner for sanction to launch prosecution in case the contravention is punishable with imprisonment. Okay, if the food business operator has done any kind of wrong activity, has committed any kind of crime, then and if he or she is punishable with imprisonment, then the designated officer can recommend the same to the commissioner. Next, maintain record of all inspections made by food safety officer and the actions taken by them. Okay, whatever actions that the food safety officer is taking, or whatever materials or food articles he or she is confiscating, that record is also maintained with the designated officer. Now talking about adjudicating officer. Okay, what exactly is the role of adjudicating officer? The role of adjudicating officer is similar to that of a judge. Okay, now for each and every matter related to food safety, okay, usually the cases are not transferred to the district court. Rather, there is a special court that is headed by the adjudicating officer. Okay, there is a special court here. The adjudicating officer, after giving the person a reasonable opportunity for making representation in the matter, can impose penalty as he or she thinks fit in accordance with the provisions relating to that offense. Okay, that means whenever a trial is done, whenever a prosecution is done, after that the adjudicating officer is the one who is going to give the judgment or the verdict. The state government will notify adjudicating officer for the adjudication of the food related case. That means for any kind of judgment or any kind of trial or any kind of prosecution regarding different food related cases. Now what are the other functions here? The adjudicating officer will have the powers of a civil court. Okay, whatever the powers of a civil court is, that kind of powers will be provided to the adjudicating officer, and all the proceedings before him shall be deemed to be judicial proceedings. Okay, may direct offender to pay compensation to victim or representative of victim in case of injury or death. If due to any kind of food article, if a person is injured or a person unfortunately is dead, then the representative of that person or that person himself, if he or she is fine, okay, can ask for compensation from the offender or the food business operator. Next, may order for cancellation of license. Okay, the adjudicating officer can also order for cancellation of license. Recall of food from market, as we had already studied that what is recall, what kind of material are recalled from the market. Usually the material that have been completed or the finished material. Okay, next, issue prohibition orders. Okay, now these prohibition orders are issued. For example, a particular product should not be sold. Okay, these kind of prohibition orders are usually issued. Next topic, talking about the food safety officer. So what exactly the food safety officers do? Food safety officers are appointed by the Commissioner of Food Safety through notification. Okay, for example, the way you people are going to be recruited to different posts. The state government may authorize any officer of the state government having the qualifications prescribed to perform the functions of a food safety officer within a specified jurisdiction. Okay, so here the state government, what the state government can do, okay, the state government can authorize any officer here, okay, anyone who possesses the ability to become a food safety officer. Okay, next, so what are the functions? Can take sample, okay, can help in sampling, seize any article of food, keep it in the safe custody of the food business operator, may enter and inspect any place where the article of food is manufactured or stored for sale or stored for the manufacture of any other article of food or exposed or exhibited for sale, may destroy deteriorated perishable product after giving notice in writing, may seize any article of food and books of account. So I don't think there is any explanation is needed. They can take the sample of the food article, of course, seize any article of food if he or she finds that this food article is not being complied according to the standards, may enter and inspect any place where the article of food is manufactured. Okay, next, I mean the manufacturing or the processing plants here. Okay, good morning Yogesh, welcome to the session. Okay, or stored for sale or stored for the manufacture or storage also. Okay, any kind of processing plant, any kind of storage, okay, anywhere. May destroy deteriorated or perishable product. If he or she finds that a particular at a particular place the product has expired or deteriorated, okay, or it's no more in a consumable state, then he or she can destroy the product also. May seize any article of food and books of account. For example, different accounts books are maintained here. Okay, so in that case the food safety officer can also seize these books of accounts. Okay, next, inspect all licensed units. Okay, all the food business operators who have been licensed, okay, by the designated officer. Then it can stop any vehicle and inspect the vehicle also for any kind of contamination or any kind of prohibited or unsafe food. Then carry out food safety surveillance to identify and address the different risks and safety hazards associated with food. Okay, now respond to incidents of food poisoning in his area to send report to the designated officer. Okay, now the CFSO or the food safety officer simply, okay, can also respond to different incidents regarding food hazards, food risk, food poisoning, okay, food adulteration, preparation of food safety plans for panchayat and municipalities. Okay, they can also prepare certain food safety plans for panchayats and municipalities. Then they can also detain imported packages if they are found unsafe or probable of containing any kind of risk. Okay, then finally food analyst. What do they do? Okay, as you know that food analyst recruitment was also released with your advertisement. So what do they do? Food analysts have a major role to play in analysis of food samples in the food laboratories. The food analysts having the qualifications as prescribed by the central government are appointed by the Commissioner of Food Safety. Okay, so who is the person who appoints the food analyst? The Commissioner of Food Safety. Okay, different food analysts may be appointed for different articles of food. Obviously, now a person can only analyze the milk products, whereas another person can analyze the cereal products. Okay, so obviously different persons should be involved here. Now what are the functions of the food analyst? So as we know, the functions of the food analyst here are mentioned. About the food analyst, it has been mentioned in section 45 and the functions has been mentioned in section 46, right? He would be responsible for carrying out the required analysis of the sample as instructed by the food safety officer, along with the test method. That means how to test the food article. Okay, the various steps that are to be taken as follows: compare and note down the conditions of the seal of the container. That means whenever the sampling is done by the food safety officer, it is sealed and sent to the food analyst. Okay, so that we need to see that this sealed container is in proper state or not, and the outer cover containing the sample. He may ask for the second sample if the first sample is found to be broken. Okay, if the container is broken, if it has been damaged in any way, then the food analyst can also demand for a second sample. Okay, next, And inform the DO about the same within 7 days time. The food analyst has to inform the DO within 7 days, and also send a requisition for the second part of the sample retained by DO. The DO usually whenever sampling is done, 4 samples are collected, 2 samples are sent to the DO, 1 sample is sent to the food analyst, and 1 sample is sent to the NABL accredited labs. Okay. Next. Again, the last slide, I guess. He will then analyze, prepare report and send to DO. The report is sent to whom? Sent to DO. Okay. For copies of report indicating the method of sampling and analysis within 14 days. You have to remember this time. Okay. Within how much, for example, within 7 days, the food analyst has to inform regarding the broken container. Okay. Within 14 days, the food analyst has to inform about the analyzed report. Okay, analyzed report. Where the purchaser wants the food to be analyzed, then the report shall be sent to that purchaser with a copy to the DO. If you are a consumer, I am also a consumer. Okay, if let's take an example that I want a specific product to be analyzed. Okay, in that case, what should be done here? That after analyzing the product, a copy will be sent to the DO, but a copy will also be sent to me. Okay, because I had demanded for the analyzing I had demanded for analyzing the sample. Okay, so these were the functions of the different state food authorities, the role of different state food authorities. As you know that the English only batches, these batches are English medium batches. Okay, so we are studying everything in English language. Okay, so the FSSAI language the FSSAI English language batch and the CFSO TO batch were started on 17th of November. So I think 5 to 6 classes have already been done. Okay, you can get these recorded classes and you will get the rest of the class as live class. Okay, you still have a good opportunity. Go for it for the CFSO batch, for the FSSAI batch. The code is Y291, which will give you maximum discount. As you can see, before the price was 2069, but when you are going to use the code Y291, you will get this batch at 1563. And CFSO TO batch will be available at 2391 instead of 2989. Okay. Similarly, you have the agriculture Mahapack. If you are planning to study for agriculture exams, then you can go for it. Okay, the code will remain same, which will give you maximum discount, that is 9199. And here are the different ebooks for junior assistant, technical officer, assistant, and the test series for assistant, technical officer, CFSO, and personal assistant. Okay, and for anything that you're purchasing on Adda 24/7 store, you can use the code Y291. Okay, so we'll meet in the next session, guys. Till then, take care, goodbye, and stay safe.